All right, so Thomas has finished helping do all the stuff with the head today, so we'll watch him go. A little puff of white smoke leaves from the Land Cruiser. Little burnout, you know. Reverse burnout, pretty sick. Diesel and rubber, can't beat it. All right, man. All right, so we got our compression ring in the cylinder here. Supposed to center it up with a piston, but we're just gonna roughly look at this here. I'm not too worried about it. It's in there pretty square, I can see. So we've got our feeler gauges here. The book says somewhere in between 20 and 10 thou are your tolerances. This is 15 thou. We're gonna see how much drag we have here. Book says just a slight amount of drag, and I can feel that slight amount they're referring to. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that that is good, and we're gonna continue assembling the rings on the pistons, and then we'll get them pushed into the cylinders. So the rings here, it comes with 4. I was confused because I only saw 3 lands, and you've got your oil control ring here. So you have 2 rings in one basically for that bottom ring here. This second ring is your exhaust gas ring, and this ring is chamfered. There we go. You can kind of see on my left of my thumb there, that chamfer, that's going to be your exhaust ring, and that's going to push the exhaust up. And then you have just your regular compression ring. This is the ring that is going to be in charge of compressing the air for the combustion. There it is, for the combustion with the diesel. So we're going to use our cheap Harbor Freight piston ring compressor. So we've just got a little basin of 1540 Rotella. We're going to dump all the pistons in so we get them lubricated before they go in, and they're not going in dry. Looks like honey. Should we put some oil in the cylinder?
I think this will be fucking plenty, dude.
So then we've just tightened this up just enough to get all the rings compressed enough to get it hugged up to the cylinder. And then we'll use the end of a hammer. And we want to make sure that the crank is at the bottom for that cylinder, which it is.
Make sure it doesn't fall out.
Okay, yeah. There's the connecting rod there, and there's the journal, so we've got plenty of room. I'm going to go ahead and pull it through. So through the power of editing, we've accomplished getting all the pistons in, all the connecting rod bearings with the caps in, and now we're going to be torquing down the connecting rod bolts in a sequence of, I think it was 26, 43, 73, something like that. 3 stages end up at 73.
Yeah, just rebuild a motor. It takes 5 minutes, right?
It was like All right, so we've got the front timing cover. We got the cam in. All the lifters are good. There's, of course, that little cam retaining cap. What else? So right now, we've kind of lightly surfaced the deck of the block, as well as the head. I'll show you in a sec. Just to rough it up a little bit, which will help with it mating. And then Thomas is applying some aviation gasket, yeah, stuff around the water jackets, because apparently those are kind of known for leaking because of the way that the gaskets are shaped. But all the cylinder walls are oiled, all the rod caps are tightened. We're preparing to get the head on. This is just a little central pneumatic, $16 little pneumatic right angle die grinder with a little kind of like Scotch-Brite pad. And even though the head was decked or resurfaced, we just want to scuff it up a little bit just so that it can adhere or mate to the surface of the deck. So we put the head gasket on now from the Enginetech kit, and then we're just continuing to apply the aviation Sela gasket around the water jackets. Okay, take that.
Lift it up, sit on there. Flatten it out. Bring your side. It's a fucking pin, right?
Yeah, hold on. You get yours.
Yeah, you get yours? Should be.
Mine's so close.
So is mine. Okay, there's mine. Push yours to the left.
To my left, okay.
You're right.
Am I right?
Yeah.
There it is. Okay. Bolts first and then rockers. Okay, cool. All right, so now we've got all the rocker arm assemblies on. We loosen these rocker arm adjusting for your valve clearance. Make sure those are loose before you're tightening these down, because it's going to change the torque rating for these if these are too tight, because these are obviously on the back here attached. Well, they're being pushed on by the tappets, which are being pushed on by the cam. So we're going to go 66 for the first pass, just like most everything. Start your way from the inside and work your way out. So 66, 88, and then 125. So now that we have our head on and torque down, we need to make sure that we set our valve lash. This nut here is our set nut, which is a 14 mil. This has a provision for a flathead screwdriver, and tightening this is going to push down on the push rod and give you more clearance here. The reason we're doing this is because this is the intake valve, this is the exhaust valve. This comes out of here, this draws air from in here. This needs to be set at 10 thou of clearance, cold. The reason for that is thermal expansion will draw that gap together when the engine gets warm. And that's why diesels are, well, diesels like this at least, can be loud when they first start up, because there's that clacking in between the valve stem and the rocker arm. When it warms up, it tends to be a little bit quieter because it's oiled, it's got oil pressure, and again, the thermal expansion between these two closes that gap, so there's less clacking noise. So the clearance is 10 thousandth on the intake and 20 on the exhaust. So this is a 12 thousandth feeler gauge. We need to not be able to push this through here. So right now I can't push it through, which is good. I'd have to check the 10 though. We'll loosen it up a little bit, and then now see it, now it can slide through. This shouldn't be able to go through at all. So we're gonna recheck that after we tighten it a teeny bit. Okay, now it's to where we cannot get that through there. Let's make sure that we can get our 10 thousandth through there. Okay, this is our 10 thousandth. That's able to go through there. There's a good amount of drag though. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold that provision with the flathead, and we're going to use our 14 millimeter to tighten that up. And what the manual says is to do that for your intake number 1, 2, and 4 with the engine at top dead center. So I'll do that to the intake valves for 1, 2, and 4, as well as the exhaust at 1, 3, and 5. So I'm going to get all the valves set on this top dead center side, and then you will rotate the engine one whole 360 degrees, and then you'll set the opposing, so 3, 5, and 6, and 2, 4, 6 on the exhaust. So you're basically just rotating it so it's on a different stroke, and then setting the other valves. So we've set the valve lash, everything is within spec, and then these get tightened down, the lock nuts to 18 foot-pounds, and then I just took all the feeler gauges to verify that we still have the clearance we need on all the valves. So everything is done as far as we're going to get today. I'm still waiting for the valve covers to get back from the parts washer from a machine shop. And then we'll start the fun stuff like painting and polishing and making it look real nice. We're going to get all new accessories. We're going to tune up the P-pump a little bit. This project is going to take a little bit longer than I expected. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer than I wanted for some of the components for the transmission to get rebuilt. But lots of fun stuff coming up. We're going to be doing some fine-tuning for the 6-inch lift part 3. That'll be coming next week, as well as a new episode of Land Cruiser Camping. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, I'll see you on the trails.